We are celebrating NWA still 76th anniversary. It's part douce trois today. You won't see new surroundings from me. Maybe it's a bit lighter than normal. I'd say I've just got in from the hot tub, but I'd be lying about that. I haven't just got in from the hot tub. I was in the hot tub a few hours ago, but I've come here especially to review
See
NWA.
me.
And of course, of course, I've got a hot tub out there, I've got a sauna, but then a chance to spend 30, 40 minutes with you. Of course, that's my NWA compadre, Miss Fiona Lochran. Hello.
Hello. You're lucky you're on holiday. I'm very jealous right now.
Yeah, it's been a good one. I've not The podcast haven't stopped on this holiday anyway. There is another one coming up, which they will. Strict instructions not to take the laptop away on the second one. So there would have to be a week without stuff then, unfortunately, but it is what it is. But I'm here now, and we're going to do NWA 76 part two. We're not going to go back 4 years. But this week we had Liberty Bell Brawls, we had the new national champion crowned, and we had the Women's World Championship match as well. So we'll get into all of that. And the cold open, as beautiful as it always is, was
The
about
wonderful Kenzie.
Kenzie and Max, which is going to be the main event. These never cease anymore. Yes, I don't mean to sound horrible when I said these never cease to amaze me how great that they are. They just, I mean, somewhere setting the stage so perfectly, going through, that Kenzie's coming back. She's sort of a year ago, Max basically annihilated her. And
Yeah.
now she's back and she's now the champion and she's more focused and she's not scared of Max anymore.
That's a brave statement to make, I think. I think I would still be scared of Max, but fair play to her.
Yeah, fair play. She's not scared of Max anymore. That will be the main event. We'll get into that. And apart from all the craziness that's going to start, we had the comms of Danny Dills, Joe Garley, and William Patrick Corgan himself was gracing us with his presence on commentary. Liberty Bell Brawl. I've never seen this in my life, so this was a new one on me.
Absolutely, and for me too.
And for you, Fee, I'm glad they hadn't done it before then, because in NWA and their wacky matches, I wouldn't be surprised if they had done this before, but they hadn't done. So for the viewing people or the people watching, and if you haven't seen it, go on to X. You can see weekly episodes of Power at least for the next 3 weeks or so on X. Tuesday, 6:05 Eastern, 11:05 UK. Just work out the time difference from wherever you're from to watch it, or you can watch it anytime you want because it's viewing live. It streams live at that time, and it's available. They always pin it to their X account so you can watch it whenever you want. But for those who haven't seen it, you have to climb the ladder and ring the bell 3 times. So
Three
it's
times.
three times. So it's
That is the
effectively
important part. Three times, and you'll figure out why it's important in a few minutes.
yeah, you'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, basically a ladder match for want of a better phrase. And now this is going to be a BFT blunt force trauma with the wonderful Aaron Stevens and Aou. Right? Am I still? That is right. That is still
Yes,
right.
so you got that. The Immortals, Odinson and Kratos.
That is right. And speaking of Kratos, fingers crossed we'll be getting him on and we can have an RU off.
Oh my goodness.
It's
I
got
think
to
I'll
be
just sit
done.
on the sidelines for that one.
It's got to be done, hasn't it? If we can work out with Kratos, he basically responded. Just a bit of a side one. Fee was putting out how she was watching NWA. He responded to that, and then you messaged me saying, "I'm, trying to get him on." And you messaged him back, and he said, "Yep, we'll set it up, and then hopefully we're going to get him on down the line." Which, yeah, I'm going to have an RU off with him on there. I think
Whatever makes you happy, darling.
it's ratings, man. We need to draw me some money, as the man would say. Anyway, this was nuts.
It was. It was always going to be nuts, let's be honest.
It started with Kratos deciding that he was going to jump over the top rope and attack blunt force trauma. I mean, Jesus, for those who've never seen Kratos before, have a look at your fridge in your house.
That's
And
accurate.
if you've got a double American fridge with the ice, so it's because he's so cool. If you've got that, then you've pretty much got the shape, the width of Kratos. And he decides that he's going to jump over the top rope to BFT, who are not exactly small, coming out of the coming down the aisleway, and start the Liberty Bell Brawl that way. I mean, crazy, crazy, crazy way to start this match.
Fun way to start a match.
Well, fun way to, and to be honest, it doesn't really, it goes in and out for the majority of this. Obviously, the whole point is to climb the ladder, but they use chairs, they use ladder. Of course, you've got to use it
They
as
use chairs on Aaron.
there's chairs on Mr. Stevens. I don't know how he's feeling after that, but they use chairs on him, ladders everywhere. The match is just utter chaos, which is what I love.
I loved it. Loved it.
It was just utter madness, to be quite honest with you, but an enjoyable madness. I don't like no, because the clusterfucks are wrong with train wreck is the better word because it's a good train wreck in the sense that it was enjoyable. There was just so much stuff going on. It was just they just kicked seven Liberty Bells out of each other, really,
Yeah.
didn't they? For want of a better phrase. But now we've said the importance of ringing the Liberty Bell 3 times. So the end of the match,
Kratos is up top of the ladder.
ding,
Ding, ding.
he breaks it.
And the rope on the bell comes away in his hand. So there's not technically 3 rings.
No.
But the referee calls the match. The
Yeah.
bell rings for the match to be over. And there's a little bit of confusion
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I think Kratos looks a little bit confused. BFT are looking a bit confused. Comms are definitely confused.
Well, Billy's there though. Surely he could just say it didn't ring, but
Overrule, like
overruling.
yeah. So there's a bit of confusion between the timekeeper and the actual bell ringing, and but ultimately, at the end of the day, Kratos and Odinson get the win and win the match.
They do. I think the third one missed and it fell out of his hands because you hear Joe Gardy go, "Oh no!"
But at one point, I think you just see him with the rope in his hand, and it's not attached to the bell. So yeah, I'm not quite sure. A little bit of a bell malfunction, let's just say.
I could have said something then, but I don't know. Yeah, the bell end of that was there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. But nevertheless, it was fun. It was fantastic. It was carnage, chaos, everything else, and even that at the end was just.
It was always going to be with the 4 of them in the ring, though. Let's be honest.
Exactly, but Blunt Force Trauma now have lost 2 in a row. Is the manager of champions losing that bit of, as Wallace and Gromit would say, swaz?
Ooh, you're a brave man saying that.
I
See,
know.
I'm very much of the opinion that why is it the manager that gets the shit? Because he's not the one actually doing the dirty work.
Very true. He is not the one doing the dirty work.
I mean, you can tell people what to do and where to go and what holds to put on, but if they can't do it, then is it really his fault?
Well, if it's not his fault, then Blunt Force Trauma are 0-2 recently, which means are they losing their swaz grommet?
Kind of looks like it.
It certainly does, doesn't it? We don't even know what's next for these guys. What's coming up? Obviously, Samhain's coming up very, very soon. And like last year, they were Knights of the Round Table match, wasn't they?
They were. That was fun.
With Knox and Murdoch, with the big circular table on the stage, which was hilarious. Well, not hilarious. It was actually a really good match, to be fair. So we don't know. Blunt Force Trauma, seemingly blunt with no trauma or force, for that matter, at the
And
minute.
Odinson and Kratos seem to be on the rise.
And they are in their way.
They are indeed. They've had a really good run lately.
They have. To be fair, they have. And you think of Knox and imagine that. Knox and Murdoch, the Immortals for the World Tag Team. It's got to be close, surely. They've got to be up there for it.
I would have thought so.
I'm staking my claim. I want the Immortals as tag. I love Knox and Murdoch, don't get me wrong. I just think the Immortals, obviously I love their Aru, but in general, the run that
I think they're the next contenders.
they have to be, don't they? If you look
Yeah, very much so.
who else is there other than them two? I mean, Baron and Jax, potentially they've got a shot at the US ones, we believe anyway, at some point.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. There's been no word of that since the #1 contendership got announced and they won it. There's been no follow-up on that, so we don't know.
So we don't know.
You've got the Country Gentlemen, who we didn't talk about last week when we were speaking about tag teams. My bad. I'm sorry.
You spoke to them.
You've got who else? You've got G's.
G's and
well,
Mims?
no, you've got Mims. G's and Mims. Are they tagging yet? I don't know.
Don't know.
We've got
We've got
who
Daisy Kill
else?
and Talos, but well, there's championships coming up for them, right? They're
Yeah.
running championships.
So
So
I don't know. I have no idea.
tag team picture is relatively cloudy at the minute. And not cloudy in a
Yeah.
bad way, but cloudy in the sense of who is next in line.
Yeah. I'll have forgotten several people and
Looks
several
that Kill or another one. Idol
next
and
tag team. Yeah, potentially.
they could potentially be the champions, but nevertheless, we will, as you say, watch this space, right? Or well, that's what you say.
Always, always, always.
Just continue to watch NWA on X as well, especially while we can. We don't know what the deal is going forward after 76, so just make sure you
Not got a clue.
no. Hopefully YouTube can at least until they sort something out. Anyway, NWA on X, catch that, and congratulations to the Immortals for winning the Liberty Bell Brawl. Had some interviews then as well with May. It's great seeing May again. We keep saying it. It's so good to see her back.
Good to have her back. Absolutely.
Missed May. Nothing against you, Kyle, but May.
You like me.
We love May on the show. So, there was a lot of bits going on again. It was a Kenzie and Max throughout the show, really.
Yeah.
Mitchell more than
Jim
Max.
Mitchell here, Father James Mitchell. Yep, absolutely. And who seem to believe that Max will decimate Kenzie later on in the show, which we will get to shortly.
We will indeed. Is he aged? Like he looked that way when
I
I first saw him about 30 years
Yeah,
ago.
I don't think so. He's like, yeah, I don't know what moisturizer he uses, but
We want so.
or hair dye or
Whatever.
whatever how he manages to get his eyebrows the way that they are. But
Do you know what I think? Do you remember watch the film Demolition Man when they get put in that thing and frozen for like 30 years?
he's been cryogenically frozen, and they just bring
Yeah,
him out for the shows, put him
yeah.
back in again.
They rip him out for the tapings and they put him back in.
Oh my word.
Uh, Jim, if you're ever out there and you want to come on here, you'll be more than welcome to come and talk some wrestling with us as well. But yeah, the guy just don't age, and he's still great, and he still cuts a. It's like one of these things with Jim Mitchell. When he talks, you listen.
Absolutely.
They get you drawn into it. Go
But
on.
part of that's through fear because he scares the bejesus out of me.
Yes.
You know, he reminds me of, is it Emperor Ming from Flash Gordon?
Yeah.
It's the eyebrows, and he scared me as a kid, and now I just see him and I'm like, whoa. Sorry, Father Mitchell, James,
James,
Prime
Jim,
Minister,
whatever.
whatever I have to call you, sir.
Sinister minister, as the phrase. But yeah, he doesn't age, and he just reminds. It's a bit like a bit like Paul Lee. Paul Lee, I was going to say Paul Lee dangerously, but Paul Heyman. People when some people get on the mic, you just sit. Eddie Kingston's another one when he cuts a promo. You just
Yeah,
you're drawn in and you're sucked in. Mitchell does exactly the same here, and as you say, he's said that Max is going to decimate Kenzie. Well, we will see in the main event. But before
we
we
will
get
indeed.
to that main event, we've got to crown a new national heavyweight champion.
We do indeed.
A title.
A four-way elimination was up next, which was I
Yeah.
was actually quite looking forward to.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yep.
Listen. Idol.
Yep, you had Brian Idol, you had Paul Burchill, which was great to see him back in the ring again.
Yes.
You had Carson Drake, and then you had Big Strong Mims with G's in his corner as well.
We did, and Carson Drake had kind of like a JBL type thing on his shorts. He had was it CBD or something along those lines?
I can't remember what his name because they were calling he had a strap line when they were talking about him
Yeah.
last night, and I can't remember what it is because I didn't write it down. So
No, I didn't either, but
my bad.
I found it was quite amusing that they did. But this was actually for the majority of it. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. I did like the fact there was kind of contrast in a bit of styles. I mean, Birchall's definitely a veteran in there, and he was doing something. Brian Idol definitely is still a veteran. I know that maybe he may not like that. I think he's the same age as me, so he would be classed as a veteran in those senses. And then obviously you had the young up and comer, the cocky Carson Drake, and then obviously Mims, who's not exactly old himself, and he's one that's going through. And it was actually Brian Idol eliminated first.
That caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that.
Massively.
I really wasn't expecting that. I thought if anyone was going to get eliminated first, I actually had my money on Carson.
I had my money on Birchall going first, actually. I thought he was going to be my elimination from who I wanted to win the match. I actually had Birchall, Idol, Mims, and I wanted Carson Drake to win the match. It didn't quite happen that way.
Yeah, and it was actually Burchill that pinned Idol in the
It
end.
was, which like it was like a future shock DDT rolled over into a pin,
Yeah.
which was actually a really good up. I hadn't seen Drew McIntyre there. Maybe Drew, he had done that on Saturday. Maybe we'd have a different result in Hell in a Cell, and he maybe not
That's
have
a whole
needed.
other show and a whole other conversation.
It is, and I hope your head, Drew, if you're, I do probably won't be watching, but 16 staples in the head from a toolbox. Yeah,
That's a good war wound.
they say unprotected chair shots shouldn't be allowed, and the unprotected toolbox shot to the head. Anyway, moving on from that, the next one eliminated was actually Birchall.
It was indeed. It
He,
was indeed.
he was eliminated next, so that was the British man out of the show
It
on this.
was. And then there was a little bit of G's action.
Well, there was. I mean, and they did start. They both did actually start working together during this match. Black G's gave his credit card to or
I
whatever
know. And it was like, Carson, what's going on here?
to Carson Drake, and then they
They
teamed up
double
together.
teamed on Burchill and got Burchill out,
Yeah.
basically.
And then it got to the end. So we had Mims and Drake, and you're thinking, here we go. These are two guys, two of the younger guys, and again, I was thinking Carson Drake was going to pick up the victory in this and grab his first championship in NWA. Obviously, Exodus Pro wrestlers who goes under EC3's banner. Um,
But all
go.
of a sudden he has a leg injury
All of a sudden, he falls to the
in
floor.
the middle of the ring when no one's around him.
Yeah. Says, ow, his leg. Mims pins him. One, two, three.
Literally just lies down and does a job for him.
Yeah, and it confused me a little bit because, like, don't get me wrong, Carson Drake's always been about money. We know that that's the type of guy that he is. I just think that the tainted victory for Mims is, I don't think that's the way to book him, considering, the guy's big, strong Mims. That's who he is, right?
It doesn't make him look strong.
It
If
certainly
someone's going to lie down for you in the middle of the ring and let you pin them without so much as trying to raise an arm or a shoulder to put up a fight, it doesn't make you look like a champ.
no, it really doesn't, and it's a bit of a shame because look, I get it. He got paid off, Carson Drake. I understand that part of it, and but Mims as a champion for me, I mean, he was a champion. He was the TV champion at one
He
point.
was, yeah.
Max beat him for that as well, and I just thought that he deserves better.
Yeah, but he's better than that as well. And
Yeah,
I don't know if this is Jesus' influence coming in.
quite possibly Jesus' influence coming in. Yeah, I mean it was Jesus' credit card, like we said, that he gave to Carson anyway to help with Birchall, and then he then told Carson to do the job. I initially thought when he laid down and Mims was coming over, I thought he was going to roll him up,
Yeah, because at that I was like, oh, this is interesting.
and then the 1, 2, 3 hit, and I was
But
like,
I
oh,
guess it leaves the question, what's going on with Carson and G's? Is Carson joining? Is there a little faction starting? Is there a little stable starting? Church's
possibly,
Money Enterprise maybe have a new wrestler on board?
quite possibly, and that wrestler could be
It
Carson.
certainly looks like it.
I mean, if I was EC3 Exodus Pro, I wouldn't be happy that one of your students of the game is,
Yeah.
and EC3's just
I
lost.
don't know if that was particularly the smartest move for Carson, but he's obviously got his reasons for doing it.
Will we ever find out those reasons? That's the question.
I would like to think so, but track record says potentially not.
Agreed. Track record definitely says not. However, congratulations to Big Strong Mims. You are the new national heavyweight champion, and you're only 7 wins away from being able to trade that for an opportunity at Latimer as well.
Okay, I never put two and two together at that point, right?
To
Okay.
come up with world champion opportunity for could potentially be anyway. We go back to stage again with May, and it's Kenzie time now. Kenzie was talking, we kind of mentioned it at the start. She doesn't fear. Obviously, she's learned a lot from last year, and she doesn't fear. She's going to go to Wasteland now, and she's not. She's not in that fear anymore. And I guess going into that main event, she has matured in that one year. She's now the champion. She beat Camille this time last year.
She did, and she's had a year to study Max and see what Max is capable of.
Yeah, exactly that. And we know what Max is capable of.
You do.
Destruction for one. A lot.
Particularly when Max has James Mitchell in her corner.
Yes, I mean obviously anything with a sinister minister out there as well is always going to be a problem, which leads us very nicely to Z main event of the evening for the NWA Women's World Championship. Before I go, look, I've said this all along. I would put the NWA Women's roster up against any women's roster in wrestling today. There is no doubt about that. They would be up there. This match was perfect. Well, first things first, Kenzie's got new music.
Kenzie's got new
It
music.
sounded like, do you remember Sable's music? Because she says her name and then there's that big roar, isn't it?
Mm,
That's the Sable bit about it. Then you've got like the
yeah.
Chelsea Green Start, because her and Chelsea are very pally, but it's more like Kenzie. And then it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And then
and
I'm not going to do it.
and she had that lovely jacket. I do like her black and
So
white.
that is now a jacket from the Southern Six that you want, and a jacket from Kenzie Paige that you want.
I like jackets.
Collect jackets, a jacket collector. Like, well,
Other people like shoes and handbags. I like jackets.
you like jackets. You've got an AJ Kazana one that you wore
I
when we
do.
spoke to
I do
Jokers
indeed.
last week.
Anyway, back to the match.
Back to it.
Back to the match and back to the fact that they didn't really talk that much about it, but just kind of slipped in the fact that Max had relinquished their women's TV championship to cash in for this shot. Now, I know that there was talk about it a couple of episodes ago
Yeah.
at the tapings, but they just kind of snuck it in and didn't really like it was almost a blink and you'll miss it sort of thing.
It was the match against Markova, wasn't it? Where she originally just tossed the belt away and they had their time limit draw no, count out victory, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For Markova. And then they kind of alluded to it very sort of at backstage interview kind of thing.
But I just feel like they kind of brushed over it on
Yeah.
this episode, and it wasn't really a Max has had this belt, they've defended it 7 times. Like I would probably have gone into that a little bit more and been like, well, Max had to defend it 7 times. They beat this person, they beat
Yeah.
this person, they beat this person, and this person, this person, and now they're here for the World Championship.
Because
I just felt it was glossed over a little bit, which is a bit sad, really.
yeah, because they said that she'd been Max had been. I keep saying she because she's a woman. It's a woman's world title, but it's sort of a non-binary nightmare. But they keep saying that Max had been to Japan, England, and the US defending it, but they could have, said who.
Yeah, I know. I was a little bit disappointed at the fact that they just kind of slipped it in and didn't really. Maybe we were hoping that we'd all seen the previous event, the Back to the Territories when it happened, but when most of the world hadn't been able to watch it, it would have probably been preferable that they had actually explained it a little bit better.
Yeah, it would have made a lot more sense to people
Yeah.
to do it, but they didn't. And you said they did slip that in there about how Max had defended it and then relinquished subsequently. No title match actually. I don't believe in 76 for that relinquished championship that I can recall. So that's something up and coming, perhaps. Maybe at Samhain, which is at the end of the month. Hopefully, we'll get into the reasons when we say hopefully in a minute after we finished on here. But Fee, I mean, this was just
This was always going to be a good match.
it was, and it was so well done because it literally was David v Goliath, really, in so many ways. And Max was just using Max's strength and throwing Kenzie around, and every time
Max was so dominant for the most part of this. So
exactly.
dominant.
Super dominant in this. And every time Kenzie was trying to get somewhere, nothing was phasing Max. It was just whoever produced this match. I'd love to know who produced it because maybe Jazz, maybe Miss Jazz did. I don't know. But
I'd be surprised if it wasn't Miss Jazz, to be honest.
yeah, it was just so beautifully done. Finally, Kenzie gets some offense in as we move towards the sort of back end of it. The offense that really mattered, sort
Yeah.
of, because every other offense that she done wasn't affecting Max whatsoever. And then finally, Max does something that I've never seen Max do before: hits Jim Mitchell accidentally off the apron. At this point, Jim Mitchell's on the apron because Kenzie's mounting this
Yeah.
comeback. She was doing, and Max inadvertently hits Jim Mitchell, and Max is then the attention's drawn away from Kenzie at this point and on to Jim Mitchell. So Max took her eye off Kenzie Paige, and it's something you just don't do. One Kenzie cutter, Max stands up.
Like that.
Like literally.
Like literally just like a piece of elastic, just bounced straight back up.
And I was like, uh-oh. Like,
Yeah.
push straight
I think
up.
that was exactly what came out my mouth. I think I was like, oh, like literally.
Second Kenzie Cutter on a row gets a two. And finally, the third Kenzie Cutter puts away Max the Impaler. And Kenzie sort of banishes those nightmares of last year. Although she kind of banished it the next night because she beat Camille the next night to win this championship that she's still got. But it was just perfectly, I'd say the word written, but perfectly done. The story was there to be told. David and Goliath. It was a bit like Rocky Balboa when he always used to lose the first fight and win the second fight.
Yeah.
This is what it does. I mean, is there going to be a third between these two? I don't know, but just perfectly done for
I
this.
just don't know. Obviously, Max relinquished their title and got their title shot. So does Max get a rematch clause? Where does that leave Max in the pecking order? Max still has the men's television championship.
Yeah.
So who do they defend that against? Is this one that they're going to hold on to? Who knows?
So many more questions than answers on this, which is great. It's a great position to be in. There's a lot of contenders for Kenzie's title, and actually next week on Power, actually, it's a great way to lead into it. We're going to find out who one of those opponents will be because next week is the Burke Invitational
Yeah.
on Power. So we're going to see who gets the shot. I say the next shot, Kenzie. I don't know if it's the next shot, Kenzie. I assume it will be the
I
next.
hope it's Kylie.
I'd love it to be. I've wanted that from A for what A.
Yeah, we spoke about this before and we spoke about it with the girls themselves. I love it to be Kylie, but there's so many contenders in that match.
Some new ones that we've never seen
Yeah.
before as well. So lots to look forward to. I mean, that's the only thing that's been announced for next week that I remember anyway.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that, but that was it flashed up at the end. They announced that it was going to be the Burke Invitational next week. I'm sure there'll be other matches on the show that we don't know that they'll get announced. But yeah, keep it looked on NWA on X, and you will see, as I said, every Tuesday, 6:05 Eastern, 11:05 UK. Work out the time difference from wherever you are. They'll pin it to their page, so the first thing you will see will be the latest episode of Power, and you go on to it. We were just touching briefly on Samhain, and we said hopefully things will happen at Samhain. Obviously, for those people out in America, you will know, and some of you in the, well, I'd imagine everyone really knows, the big hurricane that's due to hit Florida anytime now, really
Yeah.
has started to obviously look thoughts, prayers, condolences. Well, not even that really, just thoughts and prayers goes out to everyone. Get out there safe. Where if you managed to, well, I don't know if you. I know there's a lot of places have been evacuated and stuff like that. So it's a shocking time. I know some of the NWA guys and girls that are over there that have been, they've up sticks and gone and got out of Florida as quickly as they could. But everyone out there, just stay safe. Hopefully the damage isn't too bad. I say that with 150-mile-an-hour winds. It's obviously a scary time to know what they're going to go back to. I know Steph DeLander's out there as well. I think they were staying. I don't think they were evacuating where they were. I can't quite remember. But yeah, I mean, just stay safe. And hopefully the Sowing, because it's going to be in Robarts, right?
Robert, Sarasota, which is just up the road from Tampa, and Tampa right now at least is right in the center of the pathway of
So
the
obviously
storm. So
the reason why I'm saying it's unknown is because we don't know what the damage is going to be from the hurricane. Hopefully not too bad for anybody, not just Sarah, not just Robarts. Everyone out there, just please stay safe and hopefully things, hopefully it won't be as bad as it's seeming to be. Anyway, but we're not going to leave it on that note because that's not a good way to leave it. Fee, you're going to be, I mean, you may be busy this weekend. You're going to tell us in a minute, but you've also got a big Inside the Ropes tour coming up in a few weeks.
we have at the end of the month, we have our two shows with Brutus the Barber Beefcake, which I am super excited for. I have no doubt that man will have some belting stories. He is one of the guys that I grew up watching when I was younger. From the kind of more modern WWF era. His barbershop is the scene of my heartbreak.
Oh, I love that. Heartbreak Kid as well, right?
I know.
Rockers.
I loved Marty Jannetty. I'm not even going to pretend I didn't. So that broke my heart. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So that's on the 23rd in London and the 28th of October in Glasgow. So that'll be a fun couple of shows.
itrtix.com for that. I'm
itrtix.com
assuming they've
indeed.
still got some available. for that. And I always big up Inside the Ropes here. The shows are brilliant, and it's not just because Fee works for them; they are generally brilliant. I've been to see a few of my heroes growing up in there, and they never ever disappoint. They're always a great show. It's an intimate.
Always a fun time, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly that. We've obviously been there with Bischoff. I was there with Jericho, Michaels, and a couple of other ones that Kenny and the team put on. Brilliant shows. Honestly, if you had never gone to one, get down there. I would have done on. It's just that day. I was hoping. For some reason I thought it was like the 21st. I was going to come down and see you in London, but unfortunately, the 23rd is not available on that day, which is a shame because I would have loved to have come down and seen Brutus as well. With stories that he's going to tell are going to be brilliant.
I think they'll be fun. I really do.
Now, speaking of nostalgia, that brings me nicely. I know you may have another event quickly to pro, and you can do so in a second, but it just kind of leads on nicely to one of the guests that I announced today that will be coming on the show. You've taken us back there to the 90s, and one of the greatest tag teams, I'm going to say Hall of Fame tag teams, even though they're not in the WWE Hall of Fame yet, and I will touch on that with them. I'll be talking, and in fact, I'm going to be recording next week with Demolition, Axe, and Smash, Repo Man, or whoever they done Doink, I think at one point as well.
Oh my
Did
goodness.
did Smash. I'm really looking forward to chatting to those guys about the old times and the now and everything else, and a bit like an Inside the Ropes gig. It's going to be a great trip down memory lane for me.
Childhood dreams, eh?
Childhood dreams, childhood memories of Demolition walking out, and I always I'm thinking him and I would love to know if there was any heat between them and LOD because they always used to be very similar
Yeah.
in terms of they're coming out wearing the sort of spikes and bits and pieces.
I always used to get the two teams mixed up.
Yeah, exactly that. And on top of that, you had the Powers of Pain.
Yeah.
There was another one with the paint on at the time, and it was one of those best things to do. But going to be great, and you say you kind of led into it with Brutus. So, but back to you and your shows that you've got coming up.
I have a full on weekend this weekend. I have 3 days of shows.
Wow.
Friday night it's Pro Wrestling Scotland in View Park, which is always a good night. I think tickets are still available from Ringside World for them. Saturday main event entertainment is taking PWI all the way over to Dunoon, which might not seem that far, unless if you take the ferry, but we're probably going to drive, so it's like a pure 3.5 hour drive. It's
Wow.
like that far apart, but then you have to go all the way up and all the way back down again because it's on the peninsula. So we're over there on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I'm with W3L in Dunfermline. That's an afternoon show, which means a late home on Saturday night and an early start on Sunday. W3L are also in Galashiels, I think. Galashiels on Saturday, but obviously I had a previous arrangement with Main Event Entertainment, so I will not be there. So yeah, pretty full on weekend. I'm already tired at the thought of it, but looking forward to it. We have August Artois over from America for the W3L show. Main Event Entertainment and Pro Wrestling Scotland have a couple of title matches on the line as well, I believe.
Incredible weekend for you. Just quickly, I've just been looking at socials while you've been telling us that. And Kenzie Paige, funnily enough, we were speaking about her just now, and she has commented on ODB's working out video because ODB's trying to obviously make a comeback to wrestling, and
Okay.
ODB.
Yeah, no, I'm saying
Oh,
okay,
oh,
right.
sorry.
You know.
You said who? And,
Oh, I know DB. She's lovely.
she was great. She was a great guest that we had on, and Kenzie Page has commented with the gimmick, and I've just responded to it saying, "Book it, NWA or KW. Book it, book
That
it, book it." I'd
could be fun.
love to see it. It'd be great. Anyway, back to the guests. Yeah, we're going to have Eric Bischoff. That has been rescheduled. Eric has got a commitment, and
I'm heartbroken. I was all set to see Eric tonight. You
I'm,
broke my heart, Mr. Bischoff.
mm, I can't comment on that. I'm not going to.
I've
Um,
been psyching myself up all day to see him again as well. Oh, devastated.
But look, it will be happening in a couple of weeks' time, and we've got it rescheduled. So, listen, these things happen, and as long as Eric's well, fit, and healthy, that's all that matters. and we're looking forward to speaking with him in a few weeks' time. On top of that, oh, we are got one next week as well. One you may or may not be able to join on because it's on. Oh no, it's not. It's the week after. It's the same day. It's fodder. Another one we've had to rebook. Fodder's coming on as well. Vince Russo drops tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that was interesting to say the least. If you guys have ever, well, we asked Vince anything, and we even said to Vince that we wouldn't ask a question about Jim Cornette, and he brings it up.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. It was a different question that was asked. Myself and Jesse from Ringside Renaissance was on the podcast with Vince, and yeah, we asked him.
When does our little confab with Joe Kazana air?
Our very brief chat with Joe Kazana airs next week. That will be out next week.
And it is brief, folks, and we do apologise for it. There was some difficulties. We will get Joe back on to have a proper conversation in the future.
We will have a proper chinwag with Joe Kazana in the near future. Don't you worry about that. That will be happening again. It was very brief. We had some technical difficulties. He was actually in a tractor at one point, not during the show, but before. Anyway, we will have it is very limited on that one, but we will have that next week. That will air briefly. Vince Russo is out tomorrow. Joe Kazana. I've got Layla coming on as well. She's coming on real soon. I can't say this for certain yet, so I'm not going to, but potentially a former Inside the Ropes guest will be coming on as well. Someone that you've done a tour with. But I'm working things out in a minute. It's very low level discussion, so I can't really say any more than that. I don't really want to hype it up in case it just doesn't happen. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, Layla's coming up. There's a couple of other ones bubbling away as well that I can't really say anything yet because we haven't got to that stage where we're firming dates or anything like that. So I won't until we get to that. But Fee, thank you as always. It's been a pleasure spending some of my holiday time with you.
I feel honored.
I'm going to go jump in a hot tub. But before I do, shall we do this again next week?
I think we should.
I think we should as well. The date went well, ladies and gentlemen. See, look, it goes well every week on NWA. It goes without a hitch normally, but we will be back next week for some more NWA. As we said, with part 3 of NWA 76, the Burke Invitational Battle. What is it, Battle Royal? I don't know. I will have to find out. I can't remember. But the Burke Invitational will be on next weekend. And like I said, don't forget to watch it at NWA. They pin it to their page on X, so you will be able to see it at any point. Just go there, 6:05 Eastern, 11:05 UK time. It's about the 5th time I said it. Billy, I want my comp money for that if we get any more. But until then, everybody, if you just watch NWA, until then, we'll see you next week. If you watch all my other shows, there's plenty more dropping tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So HTT Buckle on X, on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on Instagram. We're nearly at the 5,000 YouTube subscriptions as well. We're less than, I think it's about 800 away now.
Go and sign up if you haven't already.
So subscribe because I want to post a big 5K thing and make it all. And we're also getting very close to our 1,000th piece of content. It's not a show, it's content. Our 1,000 piece of content is getting very, very close to being put out there. So I wonder who would, hopefully there may be an NWA review. Wouldn't that be great?
Cool.
That would be good. But anyway, we'll see you guys next week for more NWA action. But until then, everybody, especially out there in America, please stay safe.
Stay safe.
Please stay safe. Please get out of Florida or wherever you need to get to. Just make sure you're okay. Hopefully the damage isn't too bad. But for everybody else, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.